Emma, a young waitress, rushed from table to table, her notepad filled with orders. It was lunchtime, and the diner was packed with customers, chatting, laughing, and clinking their coffee cups. The air smelled of fresh pancakes and sizzling bacon. She wiped her forehead and turned toward the large glass window facing the street. Outside, a man in ragged clothes stood shivering. His unkempt beard and hollow eyes showed the signs of a long, harsh life. He watched the people inside with a mix of longing and hesitation. Emma had seen many homeless people pass by, but there was something about this man, something that made her pause. Before she could think further, the entrance bell chimed, and a new group of customers walked in. She sighed, pushing the thought away, and continued her work. But deep down, she knew this wasn't the last time she'd see the old man. Minutes passed, and as Emma served a hot plate of spaghetti to a customer, she heard the door chime again. When she turned around, her breath caught. It was the same homeless man. He stepped in hesitantly, his eyes darting around the room. The warm air from inside made him shiver slightly, adjusting to the sudden change from the cold outside. Other customers glanced at him, some with mild curiosity, others with disapproval. A man in a suit wrinkled his nose, while an elderly woman clutched her purse a little tighter. Emma's heart clenched. She could tell the man didn't want to cause trouble. He just looked hungry. Before anyone could say anything, the manager, Mr. Harris, stormed out from behind the counter. "Excuse me, sir. This is a respectable diner," he said coldly. "If you're not buying anything, I'll have to ask you to leave." The homeless man lowered his gaze, shame washing over his face. Emma could see the defeat in his eyes. Her fingers clenched around her notepad. She had to do something. Before Mr. Harris could escort the man out, Emma stepped forward. "Wait," she said, her voice firm, yet kind. Mr. Harris raised an eyebrow. "What?" Emma turned to the homeless man. "Sir, would you like something to eat?" The man hesitated. I don't have any money," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "I was just hoping maybe someone left some leftovers." Emma's chest tightened. Leftovers? Was that how low life had brought him? Ignoring the stares of her manager and the customers, she smiled warmly. "It's okay. I'll get you something hot." Before Mr. Harris could object, Emma rushed to the kitchen. She knew she could get in trouble for this, but something inside her told her she was doing the right thing. What she didn't know was that this small act of kindness was about to change everything. Emma grabbed a fresh bowl of steaming hot soup, a sandwich, and a cup of coffee. Her hands trembled slightly, not with fear, but with determination. As she walked back to the table where the homeless man now sat, she noticed Mr. Harris glaring at her. "Emma, I hope you're planning to pay for that," he said coldly. She met his gaze without hesitation. "Yes, I'll cover it," Mr. Harris scoffed. "It's your money," he muttered, walking away. Emma placed the tray in front of the old man. His hands shook as he picked up the spoon. He looked at her with tears in his eyes. "God bless you, miss. No one has been this kind to me in a long time." Emma smiled, feeling warmth spread through her chest. "Eat up. It's on me." As the man took his first sip of soup, something changed in his expression. His eyes widened slightly. He set down the spoon and looked at Emma, as if seeing her for the first time. Then he whispered something that made Emma freeze. The homeless man wiped his mouth and took a deep breath. His voice trembled as he spoke. "You remind me of someone," he said softly. Emma tilted her head. "Oh," he nodded, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. "A little girl from many years ago. She used to have the same kindness in her eyes, the same warm smile." Emma felt a strange chill run down her spine. "Who was she?" The man hesitated, then reached into his ragged coat and pulled out a small, crumpled photo. When he unfolded it, Emma gasped. It was an old, faded picture of a little girl with bright blue eyes and brown hair. She looked no older than 5. It was a picture of Emma. Her heart pounded. "Where did you get this?" she whispered. The man swallowed hard. "Because I've been looking for you. I'm your father." Emma's world spun as she stared at the faded photograph. Her hands trembled. How could this be possible? Her father had died years ago. Hadn't he? Her voice cracked as she spoke. "My father, passed away when I was 5. My mother told me. The homeless man, still holding the picture, shook his head. His eyes were wet with emotions. No, Emma, he whispered. Your mother lied to you. A lump formed in Emma's throat. No, that's not true, she said, stepping back. She wouldn't lie about something like that. But deep down, doubt started to creep in. She barely remembered her father. All she had were blurred childhood memories, a few pictures, and the story her mother told her that her father had disappeared and was never found. Now here was a man who looked nothing like the father she vaguely recalled, but his eyes, there was something familiar about them. Who are you? Emma asked again, her voice barely a whisper. The man sighed deeply and wiped his tired face. My name is Daniel Carter, he said, and Emma, I am your real father. A silence heavier than stone settled between them. Emma didn't know whether to believe him or run away. Emma's hands felt cold as she gripped the edge of the table. Her breath came in short, uneven gasps. Daniel Carter? That name. It felt familiar, yet distant, like a dream she could barely remember. She shook her head, trying to suppress the emotions bubbling inside her. Number, that's not possible, she murmured. My father, he disappeared when I was a child. Daniel's eyes filled with pain. Yes, Emma, and I've been looking for you ever since. Emma clenched her jaw. It didn't make sense. If this man was telling the truth, where had he been all these years? Why had her mother told her he was gone? This is insane, she muttered, stepping back. You're just some random homeless guy. How do I even know you're telling the truth? Daniel took a shaky breath and reached into his coat again. This time, he pulled out something small, a rusted locket. He slowly placed it on the table. Emma's heart nearly stopped when she saw it. She knew that locket. She had seen it in an old photograph. Her mother used to wear it. A shiver ran down her spine. How? Where did you get this? She whispered. Daniel's lips quivered. Because, Emma, this belonged to your mother. And before that, she gave it to me. On the day you were born. Emma felt her legs go weak. Was this man really telling the truth? Or was this just a cruel trick? Emma's fingers trembled as she picked up the rusted locket. It felt oddly familiar, the weight of it, the way the chain slid between her fingers. She had seen it before, but only in pictures. Her mother had told her it was lost years ago. She swallowed hard and looked up at the man who claimed to be her father. Where did you get this? And she asked again, her voice barely above a whisper. Daniel exhaled shakily. Your mother gave it to me before she took you and left. Emma's pulse quickened. Left? What do you mean? Daniel lowered his gaze, his fingers tightening around the edges of his ragged sleeves. She told you I was dead, didn't she? His voice was filled with sadness. Emma hesitated. She said you disappeared, that you never came back. Daniel gave a humorless chuckle. That's what she wanted you to believe. Emma's stomach twisted. Could this really be true? Had her mother lied to her all these years? She shook her head, stepping back. No, she wouldn't do that. She loved me. Daniel's eyes softened. I believe she did, he said, but she also wanted to protect you. There are things you don't know, Emma. Things I need to tell you. Emma's heart pounded. She wasn't sure she wanted to hear them, but a part of her, a part she couldn't ignore, needed to know the truth. Emma's hands gripped the locket tightly, her mind racing with doubts and fear. Everything she had believed for years was being questioned by a man she had just met, a man who claimed to be her father. She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. All right, she said cautiously. Tell me, what really happened? Daniel leaned back in his chair, his weary eyes lost in memories. It started more than 20 years ago, he began, back when your mother and I were still together. We were happy, Emma. We had a small house, dreams of a bright future, and most of all, we had you. Emma listened carefully, her heart pounding. But things changed, Daniel continued, his voice turning heavy. I got involved with the wrong people. I made some bad choices that put us in danger. Emma frowned. What kind of bad choices? Daniel hesitated. His fingers nervously traced the rim of the coffee cup Emma had given him earlier. I owed money, Emma. A lot of money. And the people I owed it to, they weren't the forgiving kind. Emma's breath hitched. You mean criminals? Daniel nodded slowly. Yes. And when I couldn't pay them back, they threatened to take away the only thing that mattered to me. You. Emma's blood ran cold. My only option was to disappear, Daniel whispered. To protect you and your mother, I had to walk away. I thought if I left, they would forget about me. But your mother didn't understand. She thought I abandoned you both. So she told you I was gone for good. Emma's head spun. Could this really be true? Had her mother hidden the truth from her all these years? Her voice shook as she spoke. If all of that is true, why didn't you ever come back? Daniel swallowed hard, his eyes glistening. Because, Emma, they never stopped looking for me. Emma's breath caught in her throat. Even now, Daniel whispered, glancing toward the diner window. I don't think I'm safe, and if I'm not safe, neither are you. A chill ran down Emma's spine. Something told her this was only the beginning of a much darker truth. Emma felt the weight of Daniel's words sink into her chest. If I'm not safe, neither are you. She glanced around the diner. The customers, the clinking of dishes, the hum of conversation, everything felt normal. Could it really be possible that danger was lurking just outside? Emma swallowed hard. You're saying that after all these years, someone is still after you? Daniel nodded slowly. I don't know how much time I have left before they find me. I've been running for years, staying hidden. But when I saw you today, I couldn't walk away again. His voice cracked with emotion. I had to tell you the truth before it's too late. Emma's heart pounded. This was insane. She had come to work today thinking it was just another shift. Now she was being told that her life, her entire past was built on a lie. And worse, that she might be in danger. She clenched her fists. How do I even know you're telling the truth? Daniel sighed and reached into his coat again. Emma tensed, half expecting something dangerous. But instead, he pulled out a second photograph. Look at this, he whispered, sliding it across the table. Emma hesitated before picking it up. Her breath caught in her throat. It was a picture of her as a baby, in the arms of a younger Daniel. The same warm brown eyes, the same tired but loving expression. Emma had never seen this picture before. Her mother had never shown it to her. Her fingers trembled as she held the image. Emma, Daniel said softly, I never wanted to leave you, but now I need you to trust me, because if they know I found you, they'll come after you next. Emma's stomach twisted. She suddenly felt very, very afraid. And then the diner door chimed. A man in a black coat stepped inside. His sharp eyes scanned the room and then landed directly on Daniel. Daniel's face went pale. It's them, he whispered. Emma's blood ran cold. Emma's heartbeat thundered in her ears as she followed Daniel's gaze to the man who had just entered the diner. Tall, dressed in a long black coat, his presence was unnerving. His sharp eyes scanned the room with precision, like he was searching for someone. When his gaze locked onto Daniel, his lips curled slightly, a smirk that sent a chill down Emma's spine. Daniel stiffened, his hands gripping the table. We need to leave, now! Emma's throat went dry. Who is he? She whispered. Daniel didn't answer. He slowly pushed back his chair, trying to appear casual, but Emma could see the tension in his shoulders. He wasn't just afraid, he was terrified. The man started walking toward them. Emma instinctively stood up, her heart pounding. Daniel, what's going on? She demanded under her breath. Stay calm, Daniel muttered. Follow my lead. The man in black stopped right beside their table. His presence was overwhelming, his eyes unreadable. Up close, Emma noticed a thin scar running down the side of his face. Long time, Carter, the man said smoothly, his voice dangerously calm. Daniel clenched his jaw. I don't know you, the man chuckled, shaking his head. Oh, but you do. And I know you've been running for a long time. His gaze flickered to Emma. And it seems you finally found what you were looking for. Emma's stomach clenched. He knew about her. Daniel took a protective step in front of her. "She has nothing to do with this," he said firmly. The man smirked. "Oh, Carter, you and I both know that's not true." He leaned in slightly, lowering his voice. "You owe a debt, and no matter how many years pass, debts always get collected." Daniel's hands curled into fists. Emma could see the muscles in his jaw tightening. Then, without warning, the man slid something across the table, a small folded piece of paper. "Be smart," the man said. "Read it, and don't do anything stupid." With that, he turned and walked toward the exit, his long coat swaying behind him. Before leaving, he glanced back one last time and smirked. The door chimed as he stepped outside. Emma felt her breath come out in short gasps. "Daniel, what was that?" Daniel didn't answer. His trembling hand slowly reached for the paper. He unfolded it, and the color drained from his face. Emma leaned in. Her eyes widened in horror as she read the words written in bold, precise letters. "You have 24 hours." Emma's hands flew to her mouth. "What? What does this mean?" she asked, her voice shaking. Daniel shut his eyes, his breathing uneven. "It means they found me. And now, Emma, they know about you too." Emma felt the ground beneath her shift. This wasn't just about Daniel anymore. Now she was part of the game. Emma's hands trembled as she stared at the note. "You have 24 hours." Her throat tightened. "Daniel," she whispered, "tell me the truth. Right now." Daniel looked exhausted, as if the weight of his past was crushing him. He ran a hand through his unkempt hair, sighing heavily. "Emma, it's complicated." "Then simplify it," she snapped. Fear and frustration boiled inside her. "Who are they? What do they want from you? And why am I suddenly involved?" Daniel hesitated, his fingers curling around the note. Then he spoke. "A long time ago, before I disappeared, I made a deal with very dangerous people. I borrowed money, a lot of money, from a man named Victor Reed." Emma had never heard that name before, but something about the way Daniel said it made her shudder. "Victor wasn't just some loan shark," Daniel continued. "He ran an underground network, drugs, weapons, laundering money. And when I couldn't pay him back, he made it clear that I would spend the rest of my life running." Emma's pulse pounded in her ears. But why now? Why after all these years? Daniel exhaled shakily. "Because Victor doesn't just forget his debts. He doesn't care how long it takes. The moment I resurfaced, they found me." Emma felt sick. "And me? Why do they care about me?" Daniel's eyes darkened. "Because you're leverage. If they can't make me pay, they'll come after you instead." A chill ran down Emma's spine. She looked around the diner, suddenly feeling exposed. Had anyone else been watching them? Were they already being followed? She gripped the table. "Daniel, we need to go. Now." Daniel nodded. "I have a plan," he said, "but we don't have much time." Emma's stomach twisted. "A plan? What kind of plan?" Daniel's expression hardened. "One that might be our only chance to survive." Emma swallowed hard. Her life had changed in an instant, and now she wasn't sure she'd live to see tomorrow. Emma's hands were clammy as she gripped the edge of the table. Her mind was spinning. 24 hours, that was all they had before Victor Reed, or whoever worked for him, came back. She swallowed hard. "What's the plan, Daniel?" Daniel glanced around the diner, lowering his voice. "We need to get out of town. Tonight." Emma's breath hitched. "Leave? Just like that?" Daniel nodded. "They've already found me, Emma. And now that they know about you, you're not safe here either. If we stay, they'll come for us." Emma shook her head. "I have a job, a life. I can't just disappear." Daniel's face darkened. "You might not have a choice." Emma's chest tightened. It felt like her entire world was crumbling. She looked toward the diner window, her reflection barely visible against the darkness outside. Was someone watching? She took a deep breath. "Okay, say we run. Where do we go?" Daniel hesitated. "I have a contact, an old friend who owes me a favor. He can get us new identities, help us vanish, but we have to leave now, before they come back." Emma's pulse quickened. "Who is this friend?" Daniel hesitated. "His name is Carter. Emma frowned. Carter? But that's your last name. Daniel's jaw tensed. Yes, because he's my brother. Emma's eyes widened. I have an uncle? Daniel sighed. You were too young to remember. Carter and we had a falling out years ago, but he's the only one who can help us now. Emma felt her heart hammering against her ribs. A hidden past, an uncle she never knew existed, and a dangerous enemy closing in on them. This felt like a nightmare. She glanced at the clock on the diner wall. Time was slipping away. Finally, she met Daniel's gaze. Okay, she whispered, let's go. Daniel nodded and stood up, pulling his hood over his head. Stay close to me. Act normal. Emma grabbed her coat and took one last shaky breath. Then together, they walked toward the door, toward the unknown. But just as Emma reached for the handle, her phone vibrated in her pocket. She pulled it out and glanced at the screen. Unknown number. Her stomach dropped. With trembling fingers, she answered. A deep, chilling voice spoke on the other end. You can run, Emma, but you can't hide. Emma's blood turned to ice, and then the line went dead. Emma's grip tightened around her phone as the words echoed in her mind. You can run, Emma, but you can't hide. Her heart pounded violently. Her fingers trembled as she lowered the phone from her ear. The call had already disconnected. No number, no trace. Emma? Daniel's voice pulled her back to reality. He had already reached the door, his posture tense. What is it? Emma swallowed hard and turned the phone screen toward him. Someone just called me. Daniel's face paled. He grabbed the phone and scrolled through the call log. No number. They're using a burner phone. Emma felt lightheaded. That means they know my name. They know about me. Daniel's jaw clenched. We need to leave. Now. Emma took one last glance around the diner. The customers were chatting, eating, laughing, completely unaware of the nightmare she had just stepped into. She followed Daniel outside into the cold night. The city lights flickered, the streets buzzing with life. Everything felt normal, but Emma knew better. Daniel pulled his hood lower over his face. Stay close. Act natural. They hurried toward the parking lot behind the diner, where Daniel led her to an old rusted sedan. He fished a key from his pocket and unlocked the door. Get in, he said. Emma hesitated, her hands shaking as she reached for the handle. Her instincts screamed that someone was watching. She scanned the dark alley behind them. Nothing. Still, the unease gnawed at her. She slid into the passenger seat, and Daniel started the engine. The car rumbled to life, and they pulled out onto the road. Emma couldn't stop glancing at the side mirrors, half expecting a black SUV to come speeding after them. Daniel's grip on the steering wheel was tight. We need to get to Carter before they catch up. Emma's breath hitched. Do you really think they're following us? Daniel's expression was grim. They never make threats they don't intend to keep. Just as he said those words. Headlights flashed in the rearview mirror. A sleek black car turned onto the road behind them, keeping its distance but matching their speed. Emma's blood ran cold. Daniel! I see it, he muttered, pressing harder on the gas. The black car sped up. Emma's chest tightened. They're coming. Daniel's hands gripped the wheel. Hold on! And then he swerved hard, taking a sharp turn onto an empty side street. Emma gasped as the tires screeched against the pavement. For a moment, everything was silent. Then, the black car appeared at the corner. Emma's heart stopped. They were being hunted. Emma's pulse pounded in her ears as she gripped the dashboard. The black car had found them. Daniel, they're right behind us, she cried. Daniel's jaw tightened as he yanked the steering wheel, making a sharp turn onto a narrow street. The tires screeched, and Emma was thrown against the door. In the rearview mirror, the black car followed effortlessly. Whoever was driving knew exactly what they were doing. They're not backing off, Emma said, panic rising in her voice. They won't, Daniel muttered. His fingers tightened around the wheel. They don't just scare people, they eliminate them. Emma's stomach twisted. Eliminate! Before she could react, Daniel made another sudden turn onto an even darker street. Streetlights flickered as they sped past abandoned buildings and empty sidewalks. But the black car was still behind them. Daniel cursed under his breath. We need to lose them before we get to Carter. If they follow us there, we're dead. Emma felt the blood drain from her face. How do we shake them? Daniel's eyes darted to an upcoming intersection. Hold on tight. Without warning, he jerked the wheel hard to the left, straight into oncoming traffic. Emma screamed as headlights flashed in front of them. Horns blared. Cars swerved. For a split second, she was sure they were going to crash. But Daniel maneuvered through the chaos, narrowly dodging a speeding truck before swerving back onto another road. Emma's breath came in sharp gasps. Oh my God! She glanced behind them. The black car hesitated at the intersection, trapped by the swarm of angry drivers. For the first time, it was losing ground. They're stuck, Emma gasped. Daniel didn't slow down. Not for long. We need to disappear before they find another way around. Emma looked around frantically. They couldn't just vanish. Could they? Then she spotted it. Daniel, there, she pointed. An old underground parking garage loomed up ahead, its entrance barely visible between two crumbling buildings. Daniel didn't hesitate. He swerved into the lot, speeding down the ramp into the shadows. The moment they were out of sight, he killed the headlights and rolled to a silent stop behind a row of abandoned cars. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Emma barely breathed as she stared at the exit, waiting. Would the black car follow? Seconds passed. Nothing. Then, the sound of an engine revving outside, tires screeching as the black car sped past the entrance. Emma's whole body sagged in relief. They didn't see us, she whispered. Daniel exhaled, gripping the wheel so tightly his knuckles were white. We bought some time. Emma turned to him, her heart still racing. Now what? Daniel looked at her, his eyes dark with determination. Now, he said, we find Carter. And with that, he restarted the engine, because the night was far from over. Daniel restarted the engine, keeping the headlights off. The underground parking garage was eerily silent, except for the faint hum of passing cars above. Emma took a shaky breath. Are you sure we can trust Carter? Daniel hesitated before answering. I don't know, but right now he's our only chance. Emma didn't like that answer. Trusting the wrong person could mean the end. Daniel pulled out his phone and dialed a number. It rang twice before a gruff voice answered. Who is this? Daniel gripped the phone. It's me. A long pause, then, you shouldn't have called. We don't have time for this, Carter. They found me, and they found Emma. Another pause, then Carter's voice lowered. Meet me at the old warehouse on Pier 17. 30 minutes, and don't bring anyone else. The line went dead. Emma shifted uneasily. I don't like this. Daniel put the car into gear. Neither do I, but we don't have a choice. As the car rolled out of the garage and back onto the road, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that they were driving straight into another trap. Emma stared out the window, her fingers clenched around her seatbelt. Something felt off. Are you sure Carter will help us? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Daniel exhaled. I hope so. Hope. That wasn't reassuring. The old warehouse came into view, a massive, rusting structure sitting on the edge of the dark, silent water. Daniel pulled the car into the shadows away from the main entrance. He shut off the engine and turned to Emma. Stay close to me. If anything feels wrong, we leave. No questions asked. Emma nodded, her heartbeat hammering. They stepped out into the cold night. The air smelled like salt and rust. The distant sound of water lapping against the dock filled the silence. Then, footsteps. Emma's breath hitched as a figure emerged from the darkness. A tall man in a black leather jacket, his face partially hidden under a hood. His posture was tense, his movements slow, calculated. Daniel took a cautious step forward. Carter! The man stopped a few feet away. Then he pulled back his hood. For the first time, Emma saw his face. Rugged, a thin scar across his cheek. Piercing blue eyes that didn't trust easily. You shouldn't have come here, Carter muttered. His voice was deep, rough, like a man who had seen too much. Daniel clenched his fists. We had no choice. Carter's eyes flickered to Emma. His expression darkened. So, this is her. Emma stiffened. What does that mean? Carter sighed and rubbed his jaw. It means, kid, that you just stepped into something way bigger than you realize. Emma's stomach twisted. "Can you help us or not?" Daniel asked impatiently. Carter studied them for a long moment. Then his jaw tightened. "There's a safe house outside the city," he said. "But if Victor Reed is after you, nowhere is truly safe." Emma felt a chill crawl up her spine. Before she could respond, a gunshot rang out. The bullet hit the metal container behind them with a deafening clang. Emma gasped. "They found us!" Carter cursed. "Get in the warehouse, now!" Daniel grabbed Emma's wrist and they sprinted toward the entrance as more bullets sliced through the night. Bullets ricocheted off metal containers as Emma, Daniel, and Carter sprinted toward the warehouse. The air filled with the deafening sound of gunfire, and Emma's heart pounded so hard it felt like it would explode. "Move, move!" Carter shouted, shoving open a rusted metal door. They barely made it inside before another round of shots tore through the entrance. Emma pressed herself against the cold wall, gasping for breath. "Who are they?" Carter peeked through a crack in the door. "Victor's men. He must have put a tracker on you." Daniel cursed under his breath. "We should have known." Carter turned to them, his expression grim. "We're trapped. The only way out is through them." Emma's stomach dropped. Through them? That was suicide. Before she could protest, Carter pulled a gun from his jacket. "Stay low and follow me." Daniel nodded and grabbed a rusted pipe from the ground. Emma's hands trembled. She had never been in a situation like this before. Then, silence. The gunfire had stopped. Emma held her breath. Were they reloading? Had they left? Carter's grip tightened on his gun. Something's not right. Then, a metallic clang from the back of the warehouse. Emma spun around just in time to see a shadow move near the emergency exit. "They're coming in from the other side," she gasped. Carter barely had time to react before the door burst open, and masked gunmen stormed inside. Daniel lunged first, swinging his pipe at the nearest man. The impact sent him staggering back. Carter fired 2 precise shots, hitting another attacker in the leg. Emma froze. Chaos exploded around her. She saw Daniel struggle with a man twice his size. Carter took cover behind a crate, exchanging gunfire. The warehouse echoed with shouts and bullets. Emma's hands trembled. She had to do something. She spotted a heavy metal beam hanging above the entrance. Held by a single rusted chain,